Have you ever stopped to think about how that sandwich you just ate becomes the energy that's powering you through the day? Well, today we're going to take a deep dive down the ultimate disassembly line, your very own digestive system.
So here's the fundamental problem our bodies have to solve. The food we eat, it's made of these huge, complex molecules. But our cells, the little guys that actually need the fuel, they're tiny. They can't just grab a chunk of an apple and use it. Nope. The food has to be broken down, piece by piece, molecule by molecule. And that is the entire mission of your digestive system.
To get this massive job done, your body has this incredible internal factory. We call it the gastrointestinal tract, or the GI tract. And get this, it's basically one long, muscular tube that stretches up to 7 meters in a living person. That's over 20 feet long. It's this winding, brilliant disassembly line designed for one single purpose: deconstruction.
Okay, so like any good factory, this one has a very specific workflow. Our digestive system operates through 6 fundamental functions that take your food from a complete meal all the way down to usable energy and, the leftovers.
It's this perfectly choreographed 6-step process. It all starts with ingestion. That's just taking the first bite. Right away, the body kicks into gear with secretion, releasing all sorts of fluids and enzymes. Then, motility and digestion work together, mixing and churning and breaking everything down. This all paves the way for the main event, absorption, which is where all those good nutrients finally get into your system. And of course, the process wraps up with defecation, which is just cleaning up whatever's left over. We're about to see all 6 of these in action.
All right, so let's follow a single bite of food on its incredible journey. First up, the grand entrance to our disassembly line is, of course, the mouth.
You can think of your mouth or oral cavity as the reception area of the factory. But this is no passive waiting room. The second that food enters, the disassembly line kicks into high gear, immediately. 3 absolutely critical things happen right here. First, your teeth get to work on mechanical digestion. That's the cutting, tearing, and grinding. At the exact same time, chemical digestion starts. Your saliva isn't just water. It's packed with an enzyme called salivary amylase, which starts breaking down starches right then and there. And finally, your tongue masterfully shapes all this mashed up, enzyme-coated food into a neat little package called a bolus, all ready for swallowing.
And with one swallow, that bolus gets pushed to the back of your throat, moves through the pharynx, and enters the next part of the tube, the esophagus. Now, this isn't just gravity taking over. This is an active, really powerful muscular push. This push is a brilliant process called peristalsis. It's this powerful, coordinated wave of muscle contractions that literally squeezes the bolus down the 10-inch-long esophagus. It's actually so strong you could swallow even if you were standing on your head, though I probably wouldn't recommend trying that at home.
All right, on to the next major station on the line. After that quick trip down the esophagus, the bolus is unceremoniously dropped into a churning, super acidic reservoir, the stomach. And in here, the food goes through a pretty dramatic transformation. The stomach's muscular walls churn and mix that bolus with some really powerful gastric juices, basically breaking it down from a solid lump into this soupy, acidic liquid we call chyme.
So just how acidic are we talking? Well, the pH in your stomach is about a 2. To put that in perspective, that's as acidic as lemon juice. It's an amazing defense mechanism too, killing off most of the nasty microbes that might have hitched a ride on your food. And to fuel all this action, your stomach glands produce a staggering 2 to 3 liters of this gastric juice every single day. I mean, picture a huge soda bottle. That's how much powerful digestive fluid your body is making daily. It's wild.
So what's the recipe for this potent juice? It's a cocktail, really. You've got hydrochloric acid, which unravels proteins, and an enzyme called pepsin, which starts snipping those proteins into smaller bits. Now, with all this corrosive acid, you gotta wonder, why doesn't the stomach just digest itself? Well, the secret is the third ingredient, mucus. The stomach lining is coated in this thick, alkaline layer of it, which creates a powerful shield against its own acid.
But this system isn't always foolproof. You know that burning feeling we call heartburn? That's actually a little failure of the valve that sits between the esophagus and the stomach. If it doesn't close up tight, some of that stomach acid can splash back up and irritate the lining of the esophagus, which does not have that protective mucus layer.
After a few hours of churning, that chyme is ready for the next phase. It gets released, little by little, into what is arguably the most important stop on the entire journey, the small intestine. This is the main absorption zone.
And yeah, this is really where the magic happens. Digestion starts way earlier, sure, but the small intestine is where about 90% of all the nutrients are actually absorbed into your body. This is where our disassembly line finally delivers the finished parts to the bloodstream.
So how in the world does it do this so incredibly well? Well, the secret isn't just its length. It's that it has an absolutely enormous internal surface area, all of it engineered for maximum absorption. How does it pack so much space in there?
It does it on 3 different levels of magnification. First, the whole inner tube has these large permanent ridges called circular folds, which make the chyme spiral through. Then, if you zoom in, covering those folds are millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi. And if you zoom in even further, the cells on those villi are covered in microscopic projections called microvilli. Altogether, these folds create a surface area that's about the size of a tennis court, all cleverly packed inside your abdomen.
This chart gives us a really great snapshot of the whole chemical disassembly line. You can see how each part specializes. Starch is in the mouth, proteins in the stomach, but just look at the small intestine. It's the all-in-one finishing station. A whole flood of enzymes comes in from the pancreas and the intestine wall to break down carbs, proteins, and fats, getting them all ready for absorption. Okay, on to the final leg of the journey. After the small intestine has soaked up all the good stuff, whatever's left, the indigestible material, passes into the large intestine to finish the job. The large intestine is basically the recycling and waste management plant. Its primary job is to absorb the last bits of water and vitamins. It's also home to trillions of helpful gut bacteria that actually lend a hand by producing essential vitamins for us. And then finally, it compacts what's left over, preparing it for removal.
But wait, there's something else going on here. Something pretty incredible. The walls of your entire GI tract are lined with their own complex web of neurons. It's called the enteric nervous system, but it's often nicknamed the brain of the gut, and for good reason. It contains about 100 million neurons. That's more neurons than you have in your entire spinal cord. And it manages digestion all on its own, without needing any input from your actual brain.
And that brings us to a final, really fascinating question. When you consider this incredibly complex neural network that influences not just digestion, but maybe even our mood and our health, should we really start thinking of our gut as our second brain? It's definitely some food for thought as we...
Smiling, playful tone. Hey! Don't sneak out just yet. If you liked hanging out here, hit that like button. It's basically the YouTube version of a high five. And if you want to see more, smash subscribe to Study with Anabia like it's a piñata. Bonus points if you ring the bell, so YouTube actually tells you when I show up again. Go on, your future self will thank you.